Welcome. I'm Kristen with Into the Light Healing and Bodywork. Today's medical yoga practice is for runners, and we're especially focused on ankle and hip limitations, weakness, and flexibility. So have something handy nearby, whether you like to use a chair or a wall, because this might be a little bit of a balance challenge. When you're up for it, let's get started. We're going to begin at the top of our yoga mats and standing today. So bringing your feet together, up nice and tall in mountain posture. We're going to simply come onto our tiptoes 3 times. So raise those heels up, use those calf muscles, and then gently and slowly lower back down. Repeat. It's absolutely okay to be hanging on to something, by the way. And then we're going to add something to this. So we're going to come into stork posture. Hands on hips, bend the hip to 90 degrees, knee bends to 90 degrees, and then pull your toes up towards your knee. And then we're going to repeat the heel raises. So we're going to, if you need to hold on, please do. We're going to come up onto the tiptoes here. Use my books. Lower down with control. It's more important for you to have a good quality of motion rather than be able to just balance on your own. After 3, we're going to stop. Hold the stork for just a moment. Really feel the burn in your hip flexor. And then we're going to, without looking if you can, step that left foot way back there to the back edge of your yoga mat. From here, we're going to drop that left knee all the way down to the floor. See if you can keep your toes, your left toes, tucked underneath and kind of get a little bit of a stretch through the calf. You should also be feeling a stretch through the left hip flexor. Let's bring our hands together and then extend them up towards the ceiling. If you do not have any problems with your back, you may add an extension here from the low back as long as you are able to keep your abdominals tight and length going through your spine. If it hurts, please do not do this part. And then we're going to let the hands come down on either side of the right foot. And then we're going to keep sweeping the hands back and straighten the right knee. Weight shifts over to the left knee. Pull the toes, and you might need to scoot your foot a little bit if you have long legs like me. Pull the toes up towards your knee, and we're getting a nice runner's stretch here. Length through the spine. A good time to use blocks here if you would like to use blocks underneath your hands to get a little bit more elongation through your spine. Long neck, lift the back of the head up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to shift our weight forward. Hands come to either side of the right foot. Lift the left knee off of the ground, and then bring the right heel towards the left, and both feet will meet together in a downward facing dog. Look for my Foundations of Medical Yoga video for downward facing dog for some cues for that one. But you want to think about pulling your elbows together, elbow creases shining forward, pressing through the hands, the fingertips, lifting the tailbone up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to shift forward into plank posture. Shoulders should be over top of wrists. Turn the elbows so that the creases are pointing forward. Lift the back of your head up towards the ceiling, retract your head. Nice tight tummy here, and it is absolutely okay to come onto your knees for a modified plank or half plank. How long can you hold a plank? And then we're going to lift our knees if they're down. Lift the seat. Push back up into the downward facing dog. Bringing those elbows towards each other, lifting that tailbone. And then we're going to walk our feet back up in between the hands and forward fold here. On an inhale, arms out to the side and up. And exhale, hands down. All the way back into mountain. Then we're going to do that little series on the other side. So hands to hips here. Bring the right knee up. Hip is at 90 degrees, knees at 90 degrees. Toes are pulling up towards the knee. If you need to hold on to something, please do so. And then we're going to come up into tiptoes on that left side. Tight abdominal sometimes helps. See if you can do the motion slow and controlled. Just get about 3 in and then let yourself rest in stork posture. And then we're going to step that right foot way back there. Drop, see if you can get a little bit of a calf stretch here. And then drop the knee down, continuing your calf stretch, and also now getting a stretch through the front of the right hip. Hands together here. And then again, if there's no back issues in your body, then we can add the extension through the low back as we lift up our hands and sink in a little bit more towards that hip flexor stretch. If you need to scoot your left foot forward in order to keep that knee over top of the ankle, feel free to do so. If your arms are up like mine, knit your low ribs together. Don't let them flare. Abdominals are tight. Length through the spine. Chin tucked towards throat. And then we're going to lower down. Hands come to either side of the foot, but instead of putting weight through those hands at this moment, we're going to keep brushing our hands back along the mat and coming into a runner's stretch. Nice long spine here. Really feel it in your hamstrings. Option here to turn the toes, so you're moving from the hip and rotating the whole leg in or out, kind of like a windshield wiper. That will target different hamstring muscles for your stretch. And if you find one group is particularly tight, I would suggest holding there. Shift the weight forward, lift up the right knee, step the left foot back to meet the right into a downward facing dog. body weight forward, shoulders come over wrists. Put weight through your fingertips into plank pose. Draw your shoulder blades together. Nice tight tummy here. Retract the head. Shake, shake, shake. And then when you're ready, lift back up into downward facing dog. Step those feet up towards the front edge of the mat. Lengthen the spine here as you inhale, maybe even coming into a halfway lift. And then on the exhale, we're going to bend the knees and bring the bottom down as if you are reaching for a chair behind you. We're going to keep our knees bent and hips bent and stay low as we inhale our arms forward and up. You almost want to feel like you're plugging your shoulder blades, your shoulders, your arms into the shoulder blades. Kind of like you're plugging something into a socket. Pull those shoulder blades down your back. You are working here. This is hard. Hang in there. Tight tummy. Feel the burn in your quads. And then we're going to lean forward, straighten the knees, and then lift the right leg up. So we're still bent in half, but the right heel is lifted up towards the ceiling. Hands can be on hips here, out to the side for airplane arms, or extended in front. Oof, I guess my body doesn't like that one. Retract your head, keep your chin towards your throat. Lift that right heel up towards the ceiling. Try to keep your pelvis level so we're not opening out to the side or collapsing down like so. Really trying to keep integrity through the hip joints is what's going to build the muscle here. And then we're going to inhale, bring it back up, and come all the way up into another stork. From here, we're going to grab the big toe of the right foot with the pointer finger and the middle finger. I'm going to turn and face you for this, but you stay where you're at. We're going to grab that big toe and then left hand on hip. If you are able, try extending that right knee. You might notice I'm shaking. I would say back off a little bit if you're shaking. Pull the shoulder, the right shoulder back into socket. And then if you wanted to try, you can open the hip out to the side. It helps to find a point to focus on in front of you on the floor. And then let's release that down. Great job. Okay, we're going to come into the Warrior 3 with the left leg going back. So since we're just in standing, we're going to keep hands on hips and then bend forward from the waist, lifting that left heel up towards the ceiling. Back of the head is extending up towards the ceiling. Level pelvis. Hands can be at hips or out to the sides or in front of you. Or holding on to something. You can think about pointing those left toes down towards the ground. This really works the hip abductors. Come on up into standing, and we're going to repeat that extended leg stretch. So bring that foot all the way up. When you have your balance, hook your fingers onto that big toe, and then stretch that leg out in front of you. Pull the shoulder back. Rotate the leg out to the left for an added challenge if you choose. Just remember to keep integrity through that shoulder. And then when you're ready, bring it down. And we're going to come all the way down into a forward fold. If you built any tension in your back, in your hips or your legs in those last few poses, just allow that to release. Let the breath take away the stress in the muscle with every exhale. From here, we're going to plant the hands and step the feet back. Knee comes to where your foot was, replaces your heel. And then the other knee, tuck the toes under, and then sit back on your heels. And before I raise up, I like to scooch my knees back a little bit more to get a little extra stretch through my ankles. So from here, after pushing my knees towards my feet more, I'm going to walk up, hands on thighs, sitting nice and tall, really stretching the bottom of the feet and the calves. Spine is long, crown of my head reaching up towards the ceiling. From here, we're going to place the hands on the low back. So I do pinky sides together and kind of adjust my shoulder blades. And then on an inhale, I'm going to lift the pelvis up. And only if this is okay for your back, invite a nice extension curve through the low back, keeping chin tucked towards throat. A little bit of a stretch through the hip flexors that get so tight from running, but it's supported from your hands on your low back. Always lengthening the spine. And then we're going to come back onto sitting in the heels. Take a few breaths here. And when you've had enough, we're going to come into a pigeon pose. So hands forward, step your legs back. And for this pigeon pose, the medical grade version of the pigeon pose is a little bit different than the traditional yoga pigeon pose. So what we want to do here is support the hip and not allow the knee to torque. So what we'll do is bring the right knee up towards the right wrist, and then we're going to turn from the hip. The right ankle is going to come towards the left wrist. And you want to kind of get this as close to 90 degrees as possible. And then we're going to kind of like lean back and sit on that right hip. So if you need to adjust and bring that shin so it's more in line with the front edge of your mat, go ahead and do so. We're going to allow that hip to stay on the ground to prevent the torquing of that right knee. So we're going to shift forward, lengthen that left leg back. Keep the toes active so you're pulling your toes towards your knee. And then we're just going to rest. You can rest either your forearm along your shin or your arm as you turn, and hands kind of come into prayer like so, lengthening that left leg back. Another option for pigeon pose that's medically okay is to rotate the torso. So bringing the left elbow to the right knee and the thumb to the armpit. I feel a little bit more stretch with this one in the glutes and the hamstrings. And it helps to tuck left toes under. And this is kind of a whole body stretch now, not just the hips. Cool. I'm going to come out of that one and switch sides. So I'm going to bring my right foot down and then switch hips. Bring the left knee up towards my left wrist. Scooching that knee. Hip is what's doing the rotating here. Right hip and leg are reaching back behind. And then again we can do elbow to knee, and forearm can rest on the shin, or your arm can rest on the shin here, hands together. Or my personal favorite, bringing the right elbow to the left knee, and then the thumb tucks into the armpit on the left. And just letting the body stretch here. Lengthen through the spine. Always, always, always think about your spine. Deep exhale here, cooling down, and then come on out of that. We're going to make our way onto our backs. So knees bent up. We're going to cross the left leg, the left thigh, over the right, and then we're going to roll onto the right side. Right shoulder is on there, on the ground, and left knee, inside of the left knee is on the ground. You can use your hand to support your head. Then we're going to take the left arm and kind of stretch it around and reach up and around and back, and see where you feel the most stretch for your body. Remember to keep that inner knee of the left side on the floor as you reach back here, still on your side though. And you can keep the arm moving, or you can just let it stay and stretch in one spot that really feels tight. Again, we don't want to push into pain, just a strong, moderate to strong stretch. You can turn your head to look at your hand as it moves. if you would like to do that, if it feels right in your neck. And then let's bring that arm back, roll onto our backs again, and then we will repeat on the other side. So crossing the right leg, right thigh over top of the left, and then we're going to roll onto the left side. The right inner knee is, and the right shin is touching the ground. And then right hand is going to find its place in a good stretch. We're going to roll onto our backs, uncross the legs and lengthen them out. And adjust the body however it needs to be adjusted in order to lay flat comfortably. It could even be different one day to the next. And then let's take a deep breath and invite stillness into our bodies. Allow all the muscles, tissues, nerves, tendons, ligaments. Allow it all to just relax. Sometimes it feels like you're sinking deeper and deeper into the floor, or that your body gets heavy. That's a good thing. Allow the relaxation to happen. Counterbalances all the work and effort of running. Joints to decompress. And the breath to return to a slow pace. I invite you to think about 3 blessings in your life. Notice how you feel in your body as you think about these 3 blessings. Remember that you can always come back to gratitude for a pick-me-up. Feel free to take some extra time here, even after the video is done. I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye for now. The light and spirit in me honors and appreciates the light and spirit in you. Let peace be with you.